What if I told you that the very thing you fear most is exactly what you're architecting into your reality? That catastrophic scenario replaying in your mind, that outcome you desperately try to avoid, you are unknowingly commanding it into existence. Your greatest fear is not a warning, it is a blueprint, and your subconscious mind is the master builder that never questions the plans you give it. If you understood even remotely how your subconscious operates, you would recognize this disturbing truth. When you obsess over losing your wealth, your relationship, your position, you are not protecting yourself. You are silently constructing that exact reality. This is not metaphor, this is mechanism. Today, we excavate the principles within Joseph Murphy's masterwork, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. This is not a book review. This is a transmission of the operating system that governs your entire existence. By the end of this exploration, you will understand why most people manifest precisely what they claim to reject, why force and effort sabotage your desired outcomes, and why your subconscious mind is the most formidable instrument of transformation available to the human species. Let me share with you a passage from my own architecture. 15 years ago, I existed in a state of financial crisis. 2 young daughters, 12-hour days in my practice, exhaustive study, relentless action, and yet, nothing materialized. I had consumed over 200 texts on success, philosophy, personal mastery. I performed the rituals, the affirmations, the visualizations. The universe remained unmoved. Every morning I would declare my financial target with conviction. Every afternoon, terror would seep in. What if I fail again? What if this doesn't work for me? I was locked in a brutal loop, and the harder I pushed, the further my objective receded. Then I encountered a single sentence that shattered my entire understanding. I opened Murphy's book to a random page, and there it was. The dominant idea is always accepted by the subconscious. Read that again. The dominant idea is always accepted by the subconscious. Not your morning affirmation, not your wishful thinking, your dominant idea. The thought pattern that occupies the throne of your mind. Let me decode this with precision. Imagine your mind as a ship. At the helm stands the captain, surveying the horizon, making decisions, issuing commands. This is your conscious mind. Below deck in the engine room, the crew receives those commands and executes them without question. This is your subconscious mind. The captain sees everything. The crew sees nothing. They only obey. If an iceberg appears ahead and the captain, compromised or confused, orders full speed, the crew will comply. They trust the captain implicitly. They do not debate. They do not second guess. They simply execute. Now bring this principle into the architecture of your daily existence. If you repeat to yourself, I cannot lose this job, I cannot lose this job, I cannot lose this job, what command are you transmitting to your subconscious? The image of job loss. If your mental refrain is, I cannot run out of money, your subconscious receives the image of scarcity. It does not process negation. It does not understand sarcasm or context. It only recognizes the dominant image and begins constructing it into form through your unconscious behaviors, decisions, and patterns. Your subconscious is not unintelligent. Its language is simply different. It speaks in images, in repetition, in emotional intensity. When you fear being terminated and obsess over that outcome, you are painting that scenario on the canvas of your inner vision, and your subconscious, ever faithful, translates that vision into physical reality through the thousands of micro decisions you make each day. Everything you think, everything you speak, is programming. Your subconscious records it all. What others say to you, what you read, what you observe, what you feel. Everything is archived with perfect fidelity. Consider someone raised in financial scarcity. Their subconscious is saturated with images. Money is difficult to acquire. Wealthy people are corrupt. Prosperity brings misery. Success requires suffering. These are not beliefs they consciously chose. These are programs installed during their formation. And so, without awareness, they unconsciously select lower-paying work, avoid environments of abundance, repel opportunities for wealth. They are not self-sabotaging deliberately. They are simply being coherent with their subconscious programming. The same mechanism governs relationships, health, every domain of existence. If you were raised witnessing constant conflict, betrayal, dysfunction between your parents, your subconscious absorbed those patterns as the template for connection. You do not consciously choose toxic relationships. You unconsciously recreate the familiar pattern because that is what your subconscious recognizes as normal. Your mind is a garden. You are the gardener. Every day you plant seeds of thought. Your subconscious is the fertile soil that grows whatever you plant without discrimination. It does not evaluate quality. If you plant thorns, you harvest thorns. If you plant roses, you harvest roses. The question is this: are you conscious of what you are planting? Because most people spend their entire lives sowing destructive seeds without the slightest awareness. They wake and immediately begin. This is going to be difficult. I never have enough. Nothing works for me. Then they wonder why their circumstances never improve. Your subconscious does not judge the seed. It simply grows what it receives. Every thought is a cause. Every circumstance in your life is the effect of that cause. Everything is created in mind first through thought, and most of those thoughts were not originated by you. They were inherited, absorbed, installed during your developmental years or through accumulated experience. Consider the person who encounters opportunity and immediately thinks, "I can achieve this. This is mine." That person is magnetized positively. Now consider the person who encounters opportunity and thinks, "What if I fail? What if they ridicule me? I could lose everything." That person is magnetized negatively, and they attract accordingly. Murphy offers a striking analogy. A magnetized iron bar can lift 12 times its own weight. But demagnetize that same bar, and it cannot lift a single feather. Same bar, only the magnetization has changed. You are that iron bar. When you learn to wield your subconscious correctly, you magnetize yourself toward your desired outcomes. When you dwell in fear, doubt, negativity, you demagnetize or reverse your polarity entirely. After I absorbed this principle, I returned to that period of financial struggle and recognized my catastrophic error. I would affirm my goal each morning with sincerity. But 5 minutes later, when I sat down to work, my dominant thought became, "What if this fails again? I cannot afford another failure." I was planting one small seed of intention in the morning and then burying it under tons of fear throughout the day. Then I felt betrayed when nothing manifested. You cannot make one positive declaration and spend the remaining hours reinforcing its opposite. The dominant idea is what your subconscious accepts and executes. Here is a principle worth its weight in sovereign truth. Never complete a negative statement. When you are in a store and see something you desire and think, "I cannot afford this," stop immediately. Reverse the command. Say instead, "This is mine. I accept it mentally, and my subconscious will orchestrate the path." This may sound trivial. I assure you, it is not. Because when you declare, "I cannot afford this," your subconscious absorbs that image and ensures you continue to lack the resources. You are literally commanding your subconscious to maintain your poverty, and it obeys without question. That is its nature. Here is the truth most people never grasp. Your external reality, what you call the objective world, is nothing more than a mirror of your internal world. If you want to transform what is outside, you must first re-architect what is within. Your outer conditions are the direct result of your inner thought patterns. There is no other mechanism. Most people attempt to change external conditions while leaving their internal programming untouched. They want more money, better relationships, superior opportunities, and they focus all their energy on forcing outcomes. This is futile. It is attempting to change your reflection in the mirror without changing yourself. That is not how reality operates. If you want to change the effect, you must change the cause. And the cause exists in your thoughts, your mental images, the way you program your subconscious. Now let me expose some subconscious programs that are silently destroying your potential. The first is envy disguised as opinion. You scroll through social media and see someone younger than you in an expensive vehicle. What is your immediate reaction? Must be inherited wealth, probably engaged in something unethical, another fraudulent guru. I used to operate from this mentality when I existed in a scarcity mindset, until I understood something crucial. When you criticize another person's wealth, you are not critiquing that individual. You are condemning wealth itself. Inscribe this into your consciousness. You lose what you condemn. This is the supreme power of envy. If you criticize someone for acquiring a luxury vehicle internally, you have already forfeited access to that experience. Your mind will not enter into conflict with itself. You must maintain coherence with your own convictions. And this entire process operates beneath conscious awareness. You do not notice it happening, but you must begin to notice. It unfolds invisibly. Therefore, be vigilant with every criticism, every judgment you cast, because criticism is envy masked as moral superiority, and envy causes you to repel everything you condemn. The second destructive program is force. This one is particularly insidious because we are conditioned from youth to believe that greater effort produces greater results. But when it comes to subconscious operation, the more you force, the worse your outcomes become. Have you ever tried to force a creative insight? You sit before your work and demand, "I need a brilliant idea right now." You strain, you push, you squeeze your mind, and nothing emerges. The harder you try, the more vacant your mind becomes. But then you surrender. You take a walk, you shower, you stop forcing. And suddenly the idea appears fully formed, elegant, complete. This is the law of reversed effort. The more you strain to force a result, the more you reinforce its opposite. Have you experienced this during an examination? You studied thoroughly, you knew the material, but during the test, your mind went completely blank. The harder you tried to remember, the less you could access. Then you exit the room, you stop trying, and suddenly everything floods back. Why? Because you ceased forcing. You released the grip. The finest ideas never arrive when you are straining for them. Money never flows when you are desperately clutching for it. Opportunities never materialize when you are forcing their arrival. You must learn to release. If you cannot release, you will spend your entire existence struggling against immovable forces, because most of the time, the solution will not arrive from the direction you are staring. New solutions emerge. New pathways open. This is how the subconscious operates. It requires space to maneuver. Therefore, instead of force, cultivate dedication. Do you perceive the distinction? Be dedicated, yes, but without strain, without desperation, without the death grip. Remember, your subconscious is a processor executing commands from your conscious mind. Imagine attempting to run the most advanced operating system on an obsolete computer with an ancient processor. The system will freeze, and if you begin striking the machine in frustration, you will break it entirely. Your mind operates identically. To install a new operating system, to reprogram your subconscious for a new level of reality, you must first upgrade the processor itself. The operating system is the final component that changes. The third lethal program is fear. This is the most treacherous because it masquerades as realism. You are visualizing your objective, and suddenly that voice emerges. But what if it does not work? You should have a backup plan. Do not delude yourself. I tell you plainly, this is not realism. This is you canceling your own order. And worse, you are ordering the precise outcome you claim to fear. Fear is dangerous because it operates as a recursive loop in your neural architecture. When you fear something, you obsess over it. You construct 1,000 catastrophic scenarios, and your subconscious operates through repetition. The more you repeat an input, the more your subconscious interprets it as a command and executes. This is called coherence. Therefore, fear of failure creates the lived experience of failure through repetition in your reality. But enough about the problem. Let us discuss the potential. If your subconscious is a processor that operates through repetition, we can utilize this mechanism to reprogram it entirely. The more positive repetitions we install in this processor, the more it generates experiences of success, of achievement, of manifestation in physical form. And because it operates through mental imagery, I'm going to teach you how to construct a mental image that reprograms your subconscious at the deepest level. Every night, 15 minutes before sleep. No device, no television, no consuming negativity. You lie down, lights dimmed. Begin relaxing your entire body from crown to feet. Once you achieve deep relaxation, you construct a film in your mind. But this is not arbitrary visualization. It must contain 3 essential elements. First, it must be in first person. You are not watching yourself succeed from a distance. You are living the success with full immersion, with granular detail. Second, you must generate physical sensations. If your objective is financial abundance, you feel the weight of your expanded wallet. If it is relationship, you feel the physical presence of your partner. If it is vitality, you feel energy coursing through your body, vibration, aliveness. Third, you must generate authentic emotion. This is the propellant that launches the entire mechanism. Visualization without emotion is impotent. How would you feel if what you are imagining were already actualized? Would you feel joy, relief, profound gratitude? Then feel that now as you visualize. Enter the film. Inhabit it completely. Let me give you my personal practice. My objective is to expand the reach of this transmission, to share these principles with a minimum of 1 million people, and transform their existence accordingly. Therefore, every night I construct this mental film. I see myself accessing the analytics, watching the metrics ascend. I feel genuine gratitude for this growth and excitement for the expanding impact of this work. I imagine reading testimonials from people stating, "This transmission altered my entire trajectory." I feel gratitude for the privilege of impacting so many consciousnesses, and I fall asleep anchored in that feeling. This may seem insignificant to you. I assure you, this is how I reached 500,000 subscribers. It was not magic. It did not fall from the void. It was because my subconscious began generating superior ideas for content, caused me to discover the right authors and texts to integrate into my work, woke me with valuable insights, orchestrated meetings with the precise people at the precise moments, and guided me towards superior decisions. Because my captain, my conscious mind, was finally issuing the correct commands to the crew, my subconscious. Now, pay careful attention to this critical point. Do not obsess over the mechanism. This is the primary error. You visualize, for example, "I want to generate 10,000 per month," and immediately you become paralyzed. Because you fixate on the question, "But how?" Through my current work, investment returns, inheritance, random windfall. It is not your responsibility to determine the mechanism. Your responsibility is only to determine the destination. The subconscious locates the pathway. Recall the story I shared about my financial objective. I was fixated on achieving it through patient consultations in my practice, but the universe delivered the answer through digital content, through this platform. This brought me vastly more prosperity than individual clinical work ever could. If I had remained stubbornly attached to my preconceived mechanism, I would have missed this opportunity for exponentially greater reach, for doing what my soul truly resonates with, which is teaching, transmitting, elevating consciousness at scale. One final instruction of supreme importance. After you construct your mental film before sleep, after it is complete and vivid, you release it. You do not compulsively check whether it is manifesting. You do not become anxious. You plant the seed and trust it will germinate. Consider when you order food through an application. You do not stand at your window staring desperately at the street. You place the order and proceed with other activities. You trust it will arrive. Simple. Therefore, release. Trust. Allow your subconscious to orchestrate. The knowledge without application is merely an echo in the void. I want you to declare your first act of mastery. In the comments, write the single principle from this transmission that you will apply consciously in the next 24 hours. Not eventually, not someday. In the next day cycle. Let the field register your commitment. Make it real through declaration.